بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إن شاء الله. Altesse,
Your Highnesses,
Excellences,
Excellencies,
Mesdames et Messieurs,
Honorable ladies and gentlemen,
il m'est agréable tout
it
d'abord
is gratifying for me,
d'exprimer en
first
mon
of
nom
all, to
personnel
express in my own name and on
celui
behalf
de l'Organisation de la
of
Coopération
the
islamique
Organization of Islamic
mes
Cooperation,
sincères
my
remerciements
sincere thanks
et
and
ma gratitude au
appreciation
gouvernement
and
et au
gratitude to
peuple
the
de la
government and
République
people
islamique
of
du
the Islamic
Pakistan
Republic of Pakistan
pour l'accueil
for the
chaleureux
warm
qui nous
welcome
a été
extended
réservé
to us
et pour la
and
sérieuse
the excellent
coopération de la
and serious
soigneuse
cooperation
coordination
and
que nous avons
coordination that
constatée
we have
dans
noted
la préparation
in
de
the
cette
preparation for this
48e
present
session
48th session
du Conseil des
of the
ministres des
Council of
Affaires
Foreign
étrangères de
Ministers
l'OIC.
of the OIC.
Tout en félicitant la République
Whilst we
islamique du
congratulate
Pakistan
the Islamic Republic of
pour sa
Pakistan on
présidence
its
de cette
assumption
importante
of the
session,
presidency of this
je tiens à
current
vous témoigner ma
current session, I would
reconnaissance
like to
pour
express
son
my
engagement
deep
résolu
appreciation
en
for its
faveur
strong
de
commitment
l'Organisation de la
to the
Coopération
OIC and
islamique
its
et
valuable
pour ses rapports précieux dans le
contributions to
renforcement
promoting
de l'action
joint Islamic
islamique
action.
commune, ce qui ne manquera pas
Such
de garantir
a
le
firm
succès de la
commitment is
présente
bound
session.
to ensure the success of the present
C'est
session.
pour nous un réel motif
It
de
is indeed for
satisfaction
us a
de
great
voir
pleasure
cette
that
48e
this
session
session
coïncider avec
coincides
la
with the
célébration
Islamic
du 75e
Republic of
anniversaire
Pakistan's
de l'indépendance de la République
75th
islamique du Pakistan,
Independence Day.
tout en lui adressant nos meilleurs vœux.
As we extend
Nous
our warm
partageons cette
congratulations
célébration
to it, we
et la
appreciate
félicitons
the
pour les
achievements
réalisations
it
de son
has
peuple
made for its
et pour
people
les défis
and the
remportés
challenges
à la
it
faveur
has
d'une forte
overcome
volonté,
with a strong
d'une
will and
détermination
determination.
sans faille. Nous lui
We
souhaitons
wish
progrès
the Islamic Republic of Pakistan further progress and prosperity. I would also like to commend the efforts of the Republic of Niger during its presidency of the CFM's 47th session under difficult circumstances overshadowed by the COVID-19 pandemic. That session has been crowned with full success and given prompt support for the forward march. I would like here to renew my high appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the host country, chair of the 14th session of the Islamic Summit, for its sustained support of the OIC's activities and the General Secretariat's work under the patronage of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and of his Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Vice Chairman. May Allah preserve them both. Your Excellencies and Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to renew to you and your governments my thanks and appreciation for the support you have given to me while assuming my duties as Secretary-General of our prestigious General Secretariat of the OIC, and to assure you of my firm commitment to work as per the requirements of the OIC's Charter to defend the issues of the Islamic Ummah and observe the decisions and resolutions adopted by the Islamic Summit and the Council of Foreign Ministers. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome the distinguished representatives of the international bodies and regional ones, partners of the OIC. Their presence is a testimony of the interest they attach to the role of the organization in contributing to peace, security, and development worldwide. The OIC is satisfied with the dialogue and cooperation it entertains with them all. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our present session is being held under the theme of partnership for unity, justice and development, a theme that is quite topical for the achievement of the aspirations of our peoples with the OIC in this particular conjuncture in which the Islamic Ummah finds itself confronting multiple types of challenges. Today, the Palestinian cause, the OIC's central issue, is still facing severe challenges with the persistence of the Israeli occupation policies based on colonial settlement, the Judaization of the city of Al-Quds, and the assault on the holy sites, especially the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque. In addition to the continued murders, confiscation of lands, house demolition, arbitrary arrests, racial discrimination, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian people. These illegal practices constitute a flagrant violation of the relevant international law, covenants, and resolutions. The perpetuation of these Israeli crimes and attacks against the Palestinian people, their land, and their sanctities makes it imperative for us to strengthen the spirit of solidarity and joint Islamic action and realize the political will through diplomatic efforts in international fora in support of the rights of the Palestinian people and confronting attempts to change the historical and legal status of the city of Al-Quds al-Sharif with firmness in implementation of the relevant resolutions adopted by the successive summit and CFM's resolutions. The issue of Jammu and Kashmir is also a just cause that has not found a solution for such a long time. And we oppose the illegal actions by India on August 5th, 2019, to change the internationally disputed status of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In last November, a high-level delegation from the General Secretary of the OIC, led by the Assistant Secretary-General for Political Affairs, Special Representative of Jammu and Kashmir, with the participation of the Assistant Secretary-General for Humanitarian, Cultural and Social Affairs, effected a visit to Pakistan and Azad Jammu and Kashmir within the framework of the implementation of the mandate entrusted to the General Secretariat under Resolution 1047 on the dispute of Jammu and Kashmir as adopted by the Council of Foreign Ministers. On the other hand, the report of the submission session in question is submitted for your attention. The OIC is called upon to redouble its efforts in support of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, including their rights to self-determination in conformity with the resolutions of the Security Council of the United Nations. The developments of these issues will be considered by the contact group on Jammu and Kashmir, which will meet here in Islamabad on the sidelines of our meeting. With regard to Afghanistan, we have followed all the aspects and the implementation of the resolutions issued from the 7th Ministerial Council held in Islamabad on 19 December 2021. In Islamabad, in this regard, I've assigned my special envoy to Afghanistan directives to cooperate with the Islamic Development Bank that has graciously prepared the legal framework and the legal fund as established by the CFM. The fund will be officially launched on the margin of this present session. On the other hand, I've dispatched my special envoy to Afghanistan, and he has held broad discussions with the ministers in Kabul concerning the efforts of the organization in the humanitarian, political, and economic field. I submit to your kind attention a special report on the progress achieved in the implementation of the resolution on the humanitarian situation in Afghanistan on the aspects linked to this first visit. Therefore, we shall continue dialogue with the authorities in Afghanistan, with international partners, with the objective to achieve peace, security, and development in this member country of the OIC. With regard to the aggression of the Republic of Armenia against the Republic of Azerbaijan, and a meeting and an agreement was held on November 2020 and put an end to the aggressions. Azerbaijan expressed concern in the face of non-observance of the Republic of Armenia of its obligations as stipulated in the agreement between the concerned parties. The General Secretariat concerned with the delayed settlement of the conflicts and under the CFM and the International Council will continue its interest of this issue. Excellencies, honorable ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Yemen still causes deep concern for our organization, which has committed itself to support Yemen's unity, sovereignty, and independence and territorial integrity, alleviating the human suffering and the conflict on the basis of international law, namely the initiative of the Gulf states and the executive mechanisms at the conclusion of the Conference of National Dialogue in Yemen and the resolutions of international legality, especially the Resolution 2216/2015 of the United Nations Security Council. In this context, the General Secretariat of the OIC salutes and hails the idea that the General Secretariat hails the initiative announced by the Ministerial Council of the Gulf States to organize Yemeni consultations at the Saudi capital in Riyadh at the end of the present month. An initiative that will make it possible to fill the gap between the Yemeni brothers and to engage in an action to stop the blood selling, and to continue the action and for the stability and security in the region. In this context, we renew our appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for its unremitting efforts and initiatives to contribute to expediting a peaceful and lasting solution to the Yemeni crisis. I also reiterate the thanks and appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Emirates for their solidarity with our organization in the face of the condemned attacks by the Houthi militants against civilians and civilian targets. Over the past period, developments in Libya, in Sudan and Somalia have been a subject of continued consideration of the General Secretariat, which encourage all parties concerned to adopt dialogue, and we today encourage them to redouble their efforts to overcome differences and lay the basis for stability and peace, for development, and to ensure that the interest of their peoples prevails. With regard to Syria, the General Secretariat continues supporting the efforts of the United Nations to achieve a peaceful solution to the crisis in conformity with the Declaration of Geneva and the resolution of the Security Council. With regard to Iraq, the convening in October 2021 of the anticipated early elections represent a positive element that we have registered and that we hail. As you all know, the political and security challenges and developments faced by the Sahel countries, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, and the Lake Chad Basin, Cameroon, Chad, Niger and Nigeria, as well as Central Republic of Africa, Mozambique and Guinea, reflects an important interest for the OIC. We underline the need to increase efforts to achieve peace and stability in these regions, and we call on the member states and the OIC institutions, as well as international partners, to help these regions to face up to the challenges confronting them. It is within this framework, to give a new launch for our organization in Africa, including in the Lake Chad and Africa, that I paid a visit in the current month to Chad, Cameroon, Niger and Senegal. And I had an opportunity to discuss with the leaders in those countries regarding these issues and ways and means to strengthen the OIC support to those countries. On the other hand, the delegations, high-level delegations from the OIC General Secretariat, led by the Assistant Secretary for Political Affairs, Dr. Dubey, paid a visit to Abuja to hold discussions with the leaders of the Commission of the OCDAO on ways and means to strengthen cooperation and coordination of efforts so as to contribute to peace, security, and development in the region. Strengthening the positive role of organization in Africa requires as well the designation of special envoy. To this effect, I recommend to your August Council to designate Dr. Nasiru Baku Arifari, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Benin, as special envoy of the OIC General Secretariat for Africa, and I hope that he will benefit of your support. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Bosnia is facing a preoccupying situation due to certain Serb parties and to their involvement and offensive, and this requires support for Bosnia-Herzegovina to help it preserve its territorial unity, its stability and sovereignty and prosperity. Our organization expresses as well its full support to the efforts in favor of a global and just resolution to the Cypriot issue and its support with the Turkish Cypriot Muslims in conformity with the parent resolutions of the OIC. Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the well-being and defense of the human rights of Muslim communities in the non-member states in conformity with the principles and objectives as included in the Charter of the organization form a priority also in our action. We continue increasing our efforts to this end through visits and dialogue with the leaders of the concerned parties. In this context, we express our profound concern with regard to the situation of Rohingya, and we call on the international community to act in an efficient manner, an urgent manner, to ensure proper conditions for the voluntary return of the people, the refugees, the Rohingyas, to their original homeland. We register our support for judicial action with the International Court of Justice for the recovering of listenings in support of the Rohingyas to put an end to all the forms of violence against them. I should like on this occasion to pay a special tribute to Gambia, to the Republic of Gambia, for their frontland role in support of the affairs and the meeting of the committee today against the violation of human rights against the Rohingyas would allow us to find a solution and to face up to the offensive in this regard. Honorable participants, according to the official reports of the Observatory of Islamophobia in the OIC, the reputation of the Muslim community in a number of countries is subject to defamation at a time when action is increasing against Muslims due to the rise of extreme right. All Islamic states are called upon to act together against such a situation and take necessary measures to fight against racist and xenophobic actions at all levels and to establish pillars of security and peace. In this regard, we dare rely on the member states to act together with the General Secretariat against Islamophobia. On the other hand, we need to collaborate with all the members of the international community to combat this phenomenon. It is with satisfaction that we have welcomed the adoption in 15th March by the General Assembly of the United Nations of a resolution designating the 15th of March of each year as an International Day of the fight against Islamophobia. We express the hope that it will contribute to favor a dialogue at the international level of a culture of tolerance and peace. Our fight against terrorism is also an absolute priority for our organization. In order to face up to this phenomenon, we have established a multidimensional strategy on the basis of international law and the Convention of the OIC on Anti-Terrorism Act, including the question, one of the issues to which we attach special attention. I would like to draw attention to strengthening cooperation between the member states in culture and civilization. This is a subject of consultations that the General Secretariat is undertaking with the member states and international and regional bodies that partners in this field. And this is the object of active action in this regard. I would like to avail of the opportunity to congratulate the UAE for having hosted the exhibition 2022, which has been the subject of consistent cooperation between the member states. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the field of social development and protection of values and regarding the institution of marriage and family, the General Secretariat is getting ready to convene other meetings of experts to achieve the discussion of the project of the Convention of the OIC on the Rights of Children in Islam, a project that was elaborated with the Permanent Commission and Independent Commission of Human Rights, IPHCR. With regard to the freedom of women and empowering women, I would like to hail the Republic of the Arab Republic of Egypt, the host country of the Organization for the Rights of Women, for having allocated a special building to headquarter to host the organization. At the level of the capacity building of youth, I would like to pay special tribute to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for having decided to welcome and host the 5th session of the Islamic Conference of Ministers of Youth and Sports that was regrettably delayed due to the COVID-19. This General Secretariat continues its coordination with the Saudi authorities with regard to set a special date for the said conference. In terms of the media, the organization have sped up its investments in new media to enlighten the member states and the public international public opinion regarding the vital issues for the Islamic Ummah and for the Muslim communities in non-member states, as well as to educate the world about its projects and efforts in support of the least developed countries to face up to the propagation of the coronavirus pandemic. In the humanitarian field, the OIC General Secretariat have been developed further over the past few years in collaboration with the international bodies. In this regard, I would like to thank all the member states and institutions of the OIC that have contributed to supporting humanitarian action of our organization, particularly the Islamic Solidarity Fund and the humanitarian partners, for most of which I would like to quote the King Salman Center for Humanitarian Action. The General Secretariat has put in enormous efforts to help the member states, the least developed countries, to face up to the pandemic of the coronavirus, to adopted multiple initiatives in this regard, including the opening of a special fund for the reception of accounts of contributions in support of the World Health Organization. In this regard, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has made a 20 million real donation in support of this fund for the acquisition of vaccines in coordination with the Salman Center for Humanitarian Action. I wish to avail of the occasion to launch an appeal to the member states to contribute further to this account to finance the purchase of vaccines for the benefit of the least developed countries in the OIC. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years have passed by, and we have not yet been able to get out of the COVID pandemic. Due to this pandemic, measures taken during this period, our countries have faced economic difficulties and a drop of exportations of tourist activities. Based on this fact, the post-corona action occupies a special place in our action. In this regard, our organization has paid particular action for the implementation of these programs and economic projects in agriculture, in rural development, food security, employment and protection, social protection, and strengthening exchanges in trade and encouragement of investment in order to ensure the realization of the objectives as announced in our action program OIC 2025. Bearing in mind the importance of cooperation in the economic and trade fields between the member states and within the framework of the implementation of the resolutions issued by your Council to organize a forum on investment in Africa, I've accorded particular attention to this issue, and I'm about to finalize the details of which I will inform you in due time. I'm happy to inform you also that the 8th session of the Islamic Conference of the OIC on food security and agricultural development, held in Istanbul in the Republic of Turkey on 25th-27th October 2021, has given a new impetus to cooperation in the sector. The ministers have adopted 3 programs of the OIC for agricultural development and strategies such as food stocks and rice and other products. Within the same framework, the OIC Tourist Conference and Labor Conference that will be held this year, respectively in Azerbaijan and the UAE, will allow the member states of our organization to take stock of the current situation in this particular sector and to elaborate a common strategy such as to enable us to face up to the challenges and alleviate the adverse effects of the coronavirus on the sectors of tourism and labor. Excellencies, Highnesses, the OIC has intensified its action in favor of strengthening cooperation between the member states in order to ensure the progress of its agenda in the field of science, technology, higher education, health, water and environment as fundamental pillars of the strategy of the OIC for the eradication of poverty, of disease, illiteracy and extremism. I'm happy, therefore, to recall that the 2nd summit of the OIC on technology that was held online in June last has taken stock of the steps fulfilled by the member states in the field of technology and their policies and national strategy in this field. Therefore, undoubtedly, providing a high-quality level of education will be the optimal means against underdevelopment. The OIC plays an important role in the training of students of the member states. Allow me here to express my due thanks and gratitude to all the member states and organizations that give financial support to our universities, in consecration of greater solidarity and cooperation among the member states in the field of higher education, of programs of exchange in the member states to provide larger numbers of scholarships for the students, particularly in the least developed countries. In the field of health, the General Secretariat, in collaboration with the competent, relevant organizations of the OIC, has adopted a traditionally well-approved approach to help the member states face up to the adverse effects of the COVID-19 with the help of the steering committee on health, of ministers of health, as well as the urgent measures taken by the ministers of foreign affairs. Secondly, an urgent financial support from the member states through the ISF and the group of the development, the IDB, and through action against fallacious media propaganda. Within the framework of legal convention and statutes adopted by the Islamic meetings and the Council of Foreign Ministers, represents the framework such as to allow the organization to fulfill its action in conformity with the agreements signed by the member states. In this regard, I'd like to renew our call to the member states that have not yet signed or ratified the agreements concluded within the framework of the organization to do so, so that these mechanisms may be established and become operative. In the forefront of this document, I would like to note the charter of the organization, the statute of the organization for women's development, and the Islamic Organization for Food Security that are already operative, but there still are other important institutions that have not seen their statutes entering into force, such as the Labor Center and the Center for Cooperation and Policy Support. Within the framework of reform of the General Secretariat, a study has been elaborated by the Public Administration Institute in collaboration with the General Secretariat. The study has led to the elaboration of an organigram, a project for the General Secretariat, which are reflected in the annexes of my present report to this August party. The General Secretary, in implementation of the resolution of the OIC Foreign Ministers Conference, has held expert group meetings to elaborate new rules and regulations and to amend certain procedural rules. The General Secretariat has elaborated a draft resolution to govern the work of the contact group and another one to govern the OIC offices abroad, the members of the committee and the statute and the rules of regulation of the OIC. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the applications for observer status and consultative status are increasing day by day, with the increasing number of requests submitted by the General Secretary, received by the General Secretary from non-member states and international organizations and humanitarian organizations. We are gratified of this interest of these members, and I express the hope that I will have your support to find the appropriate formula for the granting of observer and consultative status for the applications where the requests are submitted by parties that meet the conditions in conformity with the mandate submitted to us by the 47th session and the Council of Foreign Ministers. The Program for Action 2025, as adopted by the former Council, constitutes an optimal framework that brings together the objectives and the activities on vital fields for the member states. Concerted efforts must be put in by all to implement effectively the said program. The program's action must be finalized this year. I invite the member states to kindly submit to CESRIC as soon as possible the statistical necessary data to fulfill this important exercise that will enable us to evaluate the progress of the implementation of the action program for achieving the various objectives that I've just enumerated, and to increase the capacity of the organization to face up to the challenges and help us move forward for the implementation of the necessary reforms of our organization and the various organs with the support and commitment of the member states. We also rely on your financial support to the organization and its various organs so that they may implement and ensure the follow-up of all plans and programs as approved by your Highnesses. We are confident that strengthening the role of the organization will support our common action and consecrate the spirit of solidarity between our member states. The General Secretary continues its efforts with the competent authorities of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the implementation of rules and procedures of the arrears of certain member states, for which the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has taken the initiative to settle their arrears within the OIC, within the framework of this continued assistance to the organization. These arrears represent an obstacle that prevents the organization from fulfilling its duties. These urgent commitments will be covered thanks to these donations, and we call for further support from the member states and the IDB. I wish to underline that the General Secretariat, within the framework of the implementation of recommendations of the Permanent Finance Committee, will work in consultation with the Chairman of the Permanent Finance Committee and Chairman of the Control Office to implement the rules and regulations and the recommendations, and we are actually looking into all the various items to prepare for the budget in a manner that takes into consideration the opening of the budgetary exercise in January and its closure in December, in conformity with the rules, regulations and procedures of the Permanent Finance Committee, CPR, as well as the rules and procedure of the finance control organ. In this context, the General Secretary will spare no efforts to implement the recommendations of the finance control organ issued by the 42nd session to strengthen transparency of the financial action. I should like to underline a proper and equitable geographic representation in the candidacies for posts. We call for efforts to recruit larger representatives of member states that are underrepresented to ensure an equitable geographical representation within the General Secretariat and subsidiary organs. Your Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, the world scene is subject to grave developments due to the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. This crisis could possibly adversely affect the development of our countries, including other world countries. This conflict is likely to affect exports of these two countries that represent over 28% of the world's offers. In this regard, I should like to encourage the member states to go from mere words to actions regarding the food strategies, food security strategies concerning wheat, rice, in order to ensure proper reserves at national, regional levels, and to ensure an acceptable level of self-sufficiency in the OIC, thus proceeding from the objectives as announced in the Charter of the OIC, and the OIC, particularly the contribution to the efforts for peace and stability. The General Secretariat has urged the concerned parties to work for a peaceful settlement of the Ukrainian crisis and to continue peaceful action in search of political solution that would guarantee lasting peace and security and preserve the security of populations. In conclusion, allow me to note that my address today to this August Council are only a summary of the efforts put in by the General Secretary of the OIC in the execution of the mission assigned to it, but further documentation, including my report on the activities of the organization, is submitted for your attention, and you will agree with me that the challenges are multiple, and I'm convinced and confident that together we shall be able to contribute to face up to these challenges. May Allah Almighty guide our steps towards the achievement of our objectives, for which we are working for the benefit of the Islamic Ummah and for the achievement of the aspirations of peace, unity, justice, and development in our member states and worldwide. I thank you for your kind attention. Wassalamu alaikum.